Muted you.
Oh,
I've unmuted you.
Oh, okay,
that's
there we go.
ridiculous.
Yeah.
Go ahead, ask your question.
Okay. Got a question from Matthew. Like, since there's all this argument and letters back and forth, and some of them are forged, etc., it's all confusing to everybody. My question is simple. Like, do you think Saint Peter would bring in like a gay dance troupe to dance in front of him at his church? Do you think that represents the Church of Saint Peter?
So, if you're referring to the circus that has been coming to the Vatican to perform every year for a good amount of time now, they're kind of different every year. And what you're referring to, I don't think the Pope necessarily was aware of what was actually about to happen, right? He seems kind of surprised. But in general, I don't understand how having like a circus show at the Vatican, which is itself like a huge social symbol in Italy, and an opportunity for people to have renown and fame and things like this, and even promote good things. I don't understand why it's an issue to invite those kinds of groups, and they're not a gay dance party. That's not what it was. It was a circus, and you can watch it. So,
Well, just they were a gay.
Mole, no responding, Mole. Sorry.
Sorry.
Okay. So, did you want to say anything, Warfare, about that, or are you okay?
Well, yeah. Hold on. Let me get my timer queued up here. Gay or not gay? Too gay or not too gay? That is not the question, right? Like, the question is, would some activity like that be even tolerated in the first place, even if it wasn't gay? The attitude of the early church towards the theater and dance and all of that thing, all of those sorts of things, is completely different than the gross permissiveness. And I'm thinking about you right now, CT, than the gross permissiveness that you see in the what CT calls the V2 sect today. They'll allow anything. I mean, I touched a little bit on those things in the end of my closing statement. So who cares? Why make it about gay or not gay? It has nothing to do with gay. What it has to do with is, where's the respect for the liturgical traditions of the undivided church? Where is it?
Okay, thank you. Thank you. So now we have Vatican VIII sect. Are you ready for your question?
Yeah, sorry, man. I'm almost done. Can you just give me like 30 seconds?
Sure, I can wait 30 seconds, I suppose. We're gonna do you, and then we're gonna pop back around to Beethoven for a warfare question.
You can unmute Beethoven if you want. I'm still like working through this because I have to, I'm like thinking about it in real time.
Okay, just make sure it's only 1 minute, all right?
Yeah, it's 1 minute, don't worry.
Okay. Beethoven, where are you, my brother? There you are. Okay, Beethoven. Feel free to ask your question on warfare.
Okay, thanks for the debate. I have a quick question for warfare regarding basically Matthew's last closing statement. He brought up several quotations from popes at ecumenical councils, reading to the ecumenical council. So it's not just like popes randomly like citing it, like writing to church father or like writing a letter, and they were all like saying pretty difficult stuff for you guys, I would say. Like, so I would just ask, and Matthew also said like this is basically like this is closing the case, like there's no coming back from this. So what would be your response to, he mentioned Ephesus, he mentioned Chalcedon, he mentioned Constantinople III, Sixth Council. So what would be like your response to those sorts of things?
Okay, sure. I will start.
If you want like Matthew to reiterate the quotes again.
No, I don't. I absolutely do not. I'll start now. So basically, the short answer is take off the papal glasses. I know you guys don't want to hear it, and I know you guys going to LARP about it. I'm not trying to be confrontational, but let me give you a more realistic answer of what it is I think that you're looking for. He talks about all that stuff. He says popes say this, popes say that, but the Pope says this at the council, the Pope says that, the Pope, right? But what he won't do is go to a section, for example, in the Seventh Ecumenical Council, where I just posted this citation not that long ago in the debate citations text chat, where the statement of the Seventh Ecumenical Council reads, quote, affirm that in Christ there be two wills and two operations according to the reality of each nature, as also the Sixth Synod held at Constantinople taught, casting out Sergius, Honorius, Cyrus, Pyrrhus, Macarius, and those who agree with them, and all those who are unwilling to be reverent, end quote. So what we have right here, you can talk about popes and councils all you want. You can say that Pope Agatho said he was the toughest kid on the block all you want. The Ecumenical Council that came directly after them, and the Ecumenical Council that Pope Agatho was at before he passed away of blessed memory, they both affirm that Pope Honorius taught error. So how are you going to sit there and say, oh, this and that, and the Pope says this, and it'll never fall apart, and blah, 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 and ignore these types of statements? You can't do that, you guys. You just can't. If you want an accurate representation of church history, you cannot do that. Take the Eric Ibarra route. Eric Ibarra at least mans up and says, okay, this situation with Honorius, this is an actual problem. Eric Ibarra actually says that. It's the one quote mine from Eric Ibarra that Matthew actually never posts, the one where Ibarra admits that Pope Honorius is actually a problem.
Okay, Matthew, you have 1 minute to respond.
Okay, so it doesn't seem to answer the question, right? This was read by Pope Agatho at the council and accepted by the council as, quote, divinely written by the Apostle Peter, that the Roman Church has never been depraved by yielding to heretical innovations, but from the beginning she has received the Christian faith from her founders, the princes of the apostles, and she remains undefiled unto the end, according to the promise of our Lord and Savior himself, quoting Luke 22 about the unfailing faith of Peter and how the pontiffs have always fulfilled this. Right? This is a dogmatic letter accepted by the council. He didn't give a response. To respond to Honorius, when Honorius was condemned by the council, he wasn't the Pope. He'd be the equivalent of anathematizing Francis after he died. He just wasn't the Pope. So it's really not even a problem in the first place. And secondly, if you read the letters of Pope Honorius explicitly says, and I can get it out, he explicitly says that he is not saying that Christ has
Time.
one will. He explicitly says that. So.
Okay, we're going to go to Vatican VIII since he's been waiting a while. Are you done with your question yet?
Yeah, I think I get it right.
Okay, go ahead.
So yeah, this is a question for warfare. I'd like to preface first my question, if that's okay. I know I have a minute, but is it okay if I just take a little longer?
I'll give you a minute.
If it was up to me, you could do whatever. I don't even care. I'm here all night. If it was up to me, you could do whatever.
I'll give you a minute 30. Is that okay?
I'll try. Let's see if I can make it fit. So okay, let's see here. So I'm a non-denom, but I realized something in these debates, Catholics versus Orthodox, that I'm not sure if this has ever been brought up, but it seems to me that the Roman bishops throughout history, at the very least, let's just constrain ourselves to the first millennium. The Roman bishops in the first millennium have consistently made these sort of grandiose claims about supremacy, and in a continuous fashion. This has always happened from the Roman See, right? The Roman Apostolic See, and they have made these grandiose supremacist claims, right? That they hold authority over all the other bishops, that they're special, appointed by, they're the vicars of Christ. These are grandiose claims, and they, since they are bishops, they should be taken seriously. And they also, were done in an official capacity, letters to ecumenical councils, and it wasn't. It's not just Roman bishops that speak of themselves, that have this self-understanding as having authority over all the other, over the church, but it's also Eastern bishops, Eastern saints, church fathers, right? And during the first millennium, and what's also interesting is that these claims are uncontested, right? So, and if they are contested, it seems to me that The route by which they are contested is not through, let's say, saying that no, it's not the Roman bishop who has the supremacy; it's the Constantinople bishop or the Antioch bishop, right? Instead, what it seems the Orthodox argument is that no, it's not that the Roman bishop has supreme authority; that all bishops have the same authority, and we should, stick with the ecumenical councils and therefore the consensus of all the bishops in order to define dogma and matters of faith and morals, right? So my question is, and sorry for the long intro, but my question is, and I think this is a defeater for Eastern Orthodoxy, and you can, I'll give you the condition to defeat my defeater is, has any other office or apostolic see continuously throughout history, rather than an isolated incident, right? I don't want like a one quote by one, like Eastern bishop, right, saying no, this is a I am the supreme authority or whatever, right? I'm talking about continuously, meaning one apostolic see making the same claims throughout various periods of history, made similar grandiose claims in an official capacity about the nature of their supremacy over the churches, and such claims also remain uncontested, basically, right? Meaning like because they're accepted by the churches as a whole. And if they haven't made such claims, why is that, right? Why is that? What is the symmetry breaker between? Why would only Rome make these claims and not any other apostolic see? That is my question.
Okay, thank you. Did you get all that?
Well, yeah, I heard all that.
Okay.
But how do you distill that into one clear, precise question? I'm not trying to be a jerk.
I'll do it. Let me Vaticanate. Let me help out here. I'll help out here. Okay. The basic question.
I can just make a one statement, like just one.
Are you sure?
Defeater for my defeater would just be to show that there are non-Western bishops or apostolic sees that have been making similar claims in an official capacity. Not just one isolated incident, but like just like the Roman bishop, making throughout the ages, throughout history, making yes, I am supreme, and then another pope, I am supreme, and then another pope, I am supreme.
Okay. So the basic question is: are there bishops other than the Bishop of Rome who make supremacy claims that have not been uncontested? Right. Essentially, that's the main question.
And if they haven't,
there's a secondary question. Why is the secondary question?
Yeah, and if they haven't made such claims, why is that? What is the symmetry breaker between? Why do the Roman bishops have this unique self-understanding?
Okay, I'm going to need to ask you to stop now. You've gone on way too long.
Sure.
I think you can.
You have more confidence in my comprehensive abilities than I do. Can we get a little grace with the time on this one? Here's what I'm hearing. I'm hearing, I don't even know, like that was crazy. I'm hearing something like, were there any Eastern bishops who claimed they were the man and were not rebuked? I seriously, I'm not trying to be like cantankerous here. That was like just rambling for like 4 minutes.
Yeah, I know. Look.
Yeah, some effort trying to distill it.
Think out your question and come back. I'll happily, I think I have an idea what you're getting at.
Matthew, did you get the question? Maybe Matthew could have.
I understand the question.
Can you restate the question then, Matthew? Maybe my restatement wasn't good enough.
So, are there any other bishops besides the Roman bishop who make such high claims to supremacy and authority as the first millennium popes that are not contested, right? And if there are not, why not? That's the question.
So that was pretty close to what I said. I think that might have been exactly what I said. I have one to point out. I can think of one Eastern bishop who allegedly made a claim on par with the grandiose Roman papal claims, and that's St. John the Faster. He's the one who Pope Gregory the Great had some words for when he ascribed to himself the title of Universal Patriarch. And it's not that went unchallenged, that went challenged. And One of the reasons that was challenged was because, and I'm going to paraphrase here, like if somebody wants to be pedantic about it, I'll go dig up the source. But Pope Gregory the Great says basically that if St. John the Faster were to assume the title of universal patriarch for himself, that it squeezes all the other bishops out of the bishopric as a whole. So, yes, we do have Eastern patriarchs who, from what we're told, ventured off into papal la la land. And ironically, Pope at the time rebuked them.
Sorry. Could I just add a little something?
Well, wait, hold on. No. Well, that's not how this works. You don't get to respond after you ask the question anymore.
No. I'm not responding.
Warfare,
I'm just.
Well, hold on. Warfare didn't finish his 2 minutes. So, did you have anything else to say, Warfare?
Well, yeah, I answered his question. He asked if there were Eastern bishops. I'll reiterate. I got 30 seconds. He asked if there were Eastern bishops who made somewhat grandiose claims. I said, from what I can see, at least one that comes to immediate memory, St. John the Faster. The claiming of the title of Universal Patriarch was attributed to him. Pope Gregory the Great objected to this. And one of the reasons that he objected to it was because that for St. John the Faster to ascribe that title to himself was to deprive the rest of the bishops of honor.
Okay. All right, Matthew, do you have anything to say?
Yes, I certainly do.
Okay, 1 minute.
So I'm so glad you brought that up. So Philip Schaff, Protestant historian, says, quote, "On the other hand, it cannot be denied that Gregory, while he protested in the strongest terms against the assumption by the Eastern Patriarchs of the anti-Christian and blasphemous title of Universal Bishop, that he claimed and exercised, as far as he had the opportunity and power, the authority and oversight over the whole Church of Christ, even in the East," he says, with respect to the Church of Constantinople. He asks in one of his letters, "Who doubts that it is subject to the Apostolic See?" In another letter, quote, I know not a bishop who is not subject to it, if fault is found in him. To all who know the Gospels, he writes to Emperor Maurice, it is plain that to Peter, as the Prince of the Apostles, was committed by our Lord the care of the whole Church, totos ecclesia cura. But although the keys of the kingdom of heaven, the power of binding and loosing, were entrusted to him, and the care and principality of the whole Church, he is not called universal bishop, while my most fellow priest, John, dares to call himself universal bishop. I am expelled to exclaim, O tempora, O mores. So sum it up. He objects to the title because he thinks that John is making himself a bishop with all the other bishops as puppets of himself.
Okay, now, a side point, Matthew, your microphone is exploding again, so please try to fix that.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
It
was for a while, but now it's kind of dying. So we want to fix that. Yeah. Okay, so I'm going to move on to the next question now. We're going to just do 2 more. I'm sorry, folks, if I didn't get to your question. It's been very hard to follow the chat because people have not been listening to me about posting in the room. But I'm trying very hard to get to everyone. But we're going to do 2 more, and then we're going to move on to the guided discussion. So it looks like there's a... Ooh, what just happened? Sorry, my thing broke. Or no, John just posted a massive thing. Okay.
I deleted it.
Okay, thank you. So where was... So Adana, I'm going to give Adana the floor because apparently Adana asked a question a long time ago and I didn't even see it. Where is Adana? In here. There's Adana. Okay, Adana, feel free to ask your question.
Hello. Great work, everyone. It was a great debate. Great job. You guys are doing a great job. So I have, how many questions can I ask? Because I started adding questions as I went through.
Well, I'd like you to keep it to 1 for now, if possible.
Oh, 1. Okay. Dang. Okay, I think you already answered that one technically. I guess the most important one. Next 2, the last one I think is really fast. Like I feel like it's a really easy answer. Maybe, possibly. Connects 2.
I'll decide for you. Just ask the first one, and then we'll see.
Okay. So to warfare, when you said that I'm not very well versed, by the way, but I just remember you saying to one of the questions Matthew asked about like some about the unity and who you would go to. When you said that specific saint, or I think, or maybe bishop, I'm not sure, said that he would not fall in communion with Rome, even if the whole universe did. I'm a little confused on how that answered Matthew's question and how you know who to look to in Eastern Orthodoxy. I guess like when he asked, correct me if I'm wrong, Matthew, like if there was like a big problem, if one bishop of, I don't know how it works in a different territory doesn't agree with a different bishop, like how do you know who to go to? And I guess that's the whole unity question I'm asking.
Okay.
Yeah.
Did you get that, Warfare? You good?
I did, and I'm pumped because that is hands down the best question asked so far tonight.
All right, here we go.
I'm not kidding either. Okay, so and I got
2 minutes.
2 minutes, right?
Yep.
Okay. So basically, how it answers the question, and I thank you for pointing it out because obviously, to someone who doesn't spurg out about this stuff so much, the answer wasn't so apparent. So I appreciate that. Basically, here's the thing: the sentiment that Saint Maximus was expressing in his statement was that even if all of the sees gave themselves over to heresy, he himself would not. Now, what we take from that, there's a lot of different interpretations on what that great saint was saying and how to go about that. But basically, what we see here is that the confession of the right faith, the fidelity and the consistency and the utter upholding of everything taught by the fathers before us, by the ecumenical councils, and about those things are the definition and the deposit of the faith. And if God forbid all 5 members of the Pentarchy were to fall into some position where they were all denying that with some heretical statement like monothelitism in the time of St. Maximus, well, what did he say? He didn't say. And his answer is, it's just, you can't get a better explication, right? What did he say? He didn't say. If he was Rome or die, if St. Maximus was Rome or die, I would have expected him to say, well, if Rome does it, I got to go along. Right? If you're Rome or die, and Rome says, I'm going up to Walmart to buy some socks, come with me, you're going to go get socks. Okay, so your question needs more time, to be honest, and that's probably my fault for the way that I answered it.
Mm-hmm.
The short answer in my last 5-10 seconds, and this is tricky, is you have to follow the faith of the fathers.
I'll let you get is that the end of your sentence? You have like a few words.
It was the end of my sentence, but I mean,
Okay.
if, like I said, I'm down to hang around all night. If somebody wants to re-ask something later on, it's cool.
Okay. All right. We're gonna do Matthew your 1 minute response.
Okay, so I think the issue with his standard is that it's question begging. He's just saying you go with the bishops who are correct according to the teachings of Scripture. The Church Fathers, that's just the same thing the Protestants are going to tell you. It doesn't really help you in the grand scheme of things. Secondly, Maximus the Confessor defended papal infallibility. He says, how much more in the case of the clergy and Church of the Romans, which from old until now presides over all the churches which are under the sun, having surely received this canonically as well from councils, the apostles, and from the princes of Peter and Paul, and being numbered in their company, she is subject to no writings or issues in synodical documents. He also says that the extremities of the earth and everyone on every part of it who purely and rightly confesses the Lord looks directly towards the most holy Roman Church and her confession and faith as to a sun of unfailing light awaiting from her the brilliant radiance of the sacred dogmas of our fathers, according to that which the inspired and holy councils have stainlessly and piously decreed. For from the descent of the incarnate Word amongst us, all the churches in every part of the world have held the greatest church alone to be their base and foundation, seeing that according to the promise of Christ, the gates of hell will never prevail against her,
Okay.
etc.
All right. That's it. Okay, Donna, I'm sorry. I can't have you ask her the question. I want to get to this one guy. He's been waiting a long time.
Okay, fine.
And we, I want to respect Matthew's time because we said we're going to do an hour after this, and I want to respect his time. So we're going to do one more question. It's going to be from someone who hasn't got a question in yet, just to be fair
Okay.
to everybody.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, no problem. Okay, so J. Claus. You're the last one that I see here. Again, sorry to everybody who did not get a chance. It's just the way the cookie crumbles sometimes. All right, J. Claus, go ahead.
Hello, can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Okay, cool. I just wanted to ask a question and it's kind of a 2-in-1. I guess I would ask: is icon veneration essential to the Christian faith? And if it is, where is it seen constantly being preached in the church at all places at all times?
So I'm gonna step in here for a second on that one, Warfare, because that question is not directly related to the debate. If you want to answer it, you can, but I'm just saying. You don't have to answer it if you don't want to, because it's not directly related.
Was it to me?
Yes, it was.
Oh, okay, my bad. Yeah, I'll happily answer that.
Okay.
Hold on. Cue the timer here. So, okay. Short answer, no. Not in the sense of my opponent needs essential to be defined in this debate, right? No, we don't claim. I can't think of any iconodual that would claim that veneration, as delineated at the Second Council of Nicaea, was essential and perpetual and all that in the church. In fact, it took precise explications of Christology and triadology before the church could even be in the correct mindset to understand why the icon of the why the veneration of icons was important. So, short answer to your question, no. Longer clarification to your question, and that's not a problem, because there's nothing in the Orthodox or even the Roman Catholic position that hinges on the claim that icon veneration is an essential doctrine of the church, such without the church can't stand or fall. No icon veneration, no church. I don't think any of us would really say that. I mean, I know that I wouldn't, right? Neither side, Orthodox or Roman Catholic, has a problem with a clearer progressive explication of doctrine per se. The problem, especially for our side, is when that turns into what I described earlier as transmogrification. When you have a doctrine that starts as one thing, like morphs into this crazy beast that's sprawling all over the place and not even remotely recognizable as the thing that came before it, right? So limited appellate jurisdiction of Rome in the first, second, third centuries, or really like second, third, fourth centuries, versus temporal world power that's described at Florence. Nah.
Okay, Matthew, do you want a 1 minute on that?
Icon veneration is definitely essential to the church. The Second Council of Nicaea places an anathema on anyone who rejects the veneration of icons. It's certainly a doctrine that developed, but nonetheless, it's still important for us apostolic Christians. And regarding what you said about Florence, I mean, you have it's in Pope Gelasius. You can even just read like philosophical journals about this. Pope Gelasius goes through the theology of the two swords, the temporal and the spiritual, and how the temporal sword is always subject to the spiritual. So the Roman pontiff is the head of the hierarchy, and the temporal powers are subject to him if need be on spiritual matters, right? So I'm not sure why you're saying that. And even Florence itself, you've brought this up, if the whole pentarchy agreed to heresy, well, that's what Florence was in your view, because even Orthodox Bishop Callistos Ware admits that Council of Florence when it happened, the entire pentarchy of the Orthodox Church agreed to
Okay,
papal supremacy and the filioque.
that is it. All right, thank you. All right, so our question and answer time has come to an end. Thank you both for wonderfully answering all of those questions, and thank you everyone who had questions to ask. I appreciate it. It contributed a lot to this debate. So, we're going to move on now. Now, I want to ask this question one more time because we went over a little bit in the question and answer time. Matthew, are you still okay with 1 hour, or do you need it to be a little bit shorter?
I could do around there.
Okay, I'm going to set a time